Welcome to Kingdom LeadHERship, the podcast for women pursuing kingdom purpose with faith and intention. This is a space for clarity, encouragement, and conviction. It's a place to pause, refocus, and realign your leadership with what God is asking of you. Whether you're leading in business, ministry, your home, or your community, this podcast is here to remind you that your calling is intentional, your obedience matters, and your leadership is meant to be aligned with God, not carried in your own strength. I'm your host, Stacy Jo, and together we are leaning into leadership that is whole, obedient, and rooted in purpose. Let's get started. Welcome back to Kingdom LeadHERship, the podcast home of the Association of Christian Businesswomen. I am Stacy Jo, and today's guest is a true Kingdom leader. My guest today is Tiera Smith. She's the co-founder and the executive director of True Amor Foundation, which has been our nonprofit partner. We've had the honor of partnering with them this quarter with the Association of Christian Businesswomen. So Tiera, thank you so much for saying yes to this, and welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much, Stacy. It's always an honor and a privilege to have another opportunity to share what's going on in our lives and how good God is. So I really appreciate you all.
Oh, so good. He is so good, right?
What a good Father
that we serve.
Yes, God. Yes.
Well, before we dig into this episode, I do want to take a minute and share about who Tiera Smith is and what True Amor is. And Tiera is the co-founder and executive director of True Amor Foundation. They're a nonprofit that is dedicated to ensuring that no child suffers or loses their life due to an undetected or untreated heart condition. She's a devoted wife, a mother, and an advocate. Tiera transformed personal loss and pain into purpose. She transformed pain into purpose, leading a mission that's focused on education, early detection, family support, and life-saving cardiac care. Holding a master's degree in social science and clinical mental health, she stepped away from outside employment to fully dedicate her life to serving children and families through the foundation. Since August 2025, True Amor Foundation's work has contributed to 11 known lives being saved, reflecting her unwavering commitment to ensuring every child has the opportunity to live a healthy life. That's a mouthful, Tiera. And you know, when people meet you today, when I met you, I met a kingdom leader.
Wow, thank you, Stacy.
I met someone who is changing the outcomes for families. And I would love to know, how would you describe the mission that God has called you to right now as a kingdom leader?
Wow. This is the big one. You know, for me, like you stated, we ensure that no child loses their life or suffer due to an untreated and undetected heart condition. But it goes deeper than it. God has really given us something that every day I'm like, God, what do you have for me next? And although I may never understand, or he may reveal to me the full purpose of what he's doing, he's given me something that is so indescribable, I must say. It's something that you feel, you breathe, you eat, you walk. It's just walking and being so close to him. I've never been as close to him in my life as I am right now. So I know he's given me something special, something in our family, in our hearts, and in our every step, the words that we say and what we give to others. I know it's something great.
Wow. Yes, it is. And, we're the Kingdom LeadHERship podcast. And so the Association of Christian Businesswomen is big on creating leaders. And so I would love to know right now, what does leading well look like for you, even on the days that are still hard?
That's a good one, because those days that are still hard for me, it's every day. I love to be very transparent and vulnerable. For me, leadership is really leaning in to what God has for me. I've come to a point, leadership is full surrender. And that is my physical being, my spiritual being. That's everything. Mind, body, and soul. That's this organization, my children, my husband, carrying this grief and understanding how challenging each day is for me. I understand that leading is leaning. And that's what I continue to do. I lean in from the moment I wake up. And I always say, God, you gave me another day. You had the choice. You let me know by opening my eyes this morning. So how can I lean in and lead? How can I aspire to inspire before I expire, even in my grief? That's just how I thrive, That's how I continue to go and lead.
Leaning is leading.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
is so profound, really, because we do. I mean, as Kingdom leaders, we have to lean in to him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to end up somewhere we don't want to end up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very important. I always give this analogy in life, it's almost like being under an umbrella, right? And we understand that he's going to cover us. He's going to lead us. He's going to protect us. And the moment we step out from that, we encounter those thunderstorms and the lightning, and we get wet and rainy and all of that. But if we would just lean in, if we would just stay right under his coverage, he'll continue to lead us and protect us.
So good. So
Yes.
good. Well, I really just want to make space for you right now. And I would like for you to tell us in your own words, at whatever depth feels right to you, who Princess True was, because this came about because of Princess True and how her story became your mission.
Yeah. Princess True Amor. Oh, just a big ball of love, and it's so many times you see individuals, they say, oh, the baby is so adorable and she's so sweet. God really gave us an angel. And I believe that in her 8 months of life, Princess True, she touched so many individuals. If I can recall, and I always remember, I love the individuals when they would grab her and they would hold her. She always would rest her little head right under their chin there. And I would look at that and people would say, she just make you feel so comforted. Like, she doesn't really know what she's doing, but we feel the love. We feel the amour. Princess True was our only daughter. She was our blessing. She was the one that we prayed for. She was a sister to 2 wonderful brothers. I have 2 wonderful sons, Taj and Tori. She is actually the driver. She is a vessel. And I'm learning that through my grief and now why I looked at, Lord, you gave me a daughter. You gave me a mini me. You gave me this beautiful little girl. I realized she was so much more than that. She's the driver of saving this life. God is using her. And as adults, we open our mouths and we say, God, we surrender. But I believe there was a part of surrender in True. Just the way she made people feel, how her life is changing and saving lives now. She was everything I could imagine. She is everything that I imagine. Yeah.
What was the moment that you knew that this needed to become a foundation and not just stay a private memory? And if you want to go in a little deeper into what happened, go ahead and go there, because not everybody knows. I mean, many of us at the Association of Christian Businesswomen know because you've gotten to share your story a few times at our luncheons. But, feel free to share whatever you feel necessary to share with regards to this mission.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll start with us being in the month of June, what a way, to share. But I do want to, share June 29th, 2025 literally changed my family's life forever, We were just driving and you have that moment as a mother and you're doing everything that you feel to do, and you're taking her to her appointment. She had an appointment 6 days prior, just a regular checkup. We were told all is well. But just imagine just driving on the interstate and everything about your baby. And she woke up and I heard a cry that was so unfamiliar. And so I asked my husband, please, on the turnpike, pull over, pull over. I have to figure out what's going on. This looks different. This sounds different. And when I grabbed her, her chest was just caving in just profusely, extremely fast. And in that moment, as I go back, I remember her just looking at me, and she's known for just her big eyes. You know, it's one of the things when people look at her, they would say, I feel like she's looking at my soul, but she makes me feel so loved in that moment. Like she makes me feel like there's something she's seeing me that I can't see. And I remember her looking at me, and I'm just frantic. And her eyes just looked at me like, what's going on, Mom? Like, I'm okay. And I knew in that moment she wasn't. So my husband and I, we rushed her, and we ended up getting her at the emergency room. And as a mom, you're thinking like, hey, you know, I've never been in a place where you wish, is this a common cold? Is this asthma? Is this something that we just need to get checked and we'll be okay? To only learn that this was major. Being in the hallway thinking something is small and someone look at you and say, we have to trauma hulk your baby down to Joe DiMaggio. And I'm like, how do we go from her looking at me and saying like, looking at me with a look like, Mom, everything's going to be okay, to you're telling me you have to fly my child in. And just realizing in that moment, again, stick to the storm. There was a storm so heavy that they couldn't do so. And so they rushed her into this room. And Stacy, in that moment, everything just seemed cloudy, you know? And I've never begged and pleaded with God so much. And I know he's a good God, but the human part of me was like, God, please, whatever this is, it's getting serious. But I can't handle it. You gave me her. You gave me the desires of my heart. Can you figure this whole thing out, God? Let me know. Give me peace that it's going to be okay. And when you hear, I don't know, and those that are listening, if you're a nurse, but to hear people holler, epi, epi, and for them to have to shock my baby at 8 months 4 times, for them to have to resuscitate her those 4 times, for them to look at me and let me know that her heartbeat at that time is at 240 beats per minute and 8-month-old. What do you do? What do you do? And I'll never forget the conversation. And when the nurse looked at me and said, you know, go over. Hey. Go over and give your baby a hug. Give her a kiss because, you know, the procedure and the medicine that comes with it, she may be out for a little bit. So you go and you give the hug and you're praying on the inside like, God, just let me hold my baby again. And you walk out and he closed the curtain and he closed the door and you're standing in the hallway waiting for the unknown. For them to only have the doctor walk out in this long, what seemed like walk that took forever to look at me and say, we've tried everything we can. And we could. We can't get her heart to start again. We can't. And I'm like, God, what? My baby just had a doctor's appointment 6 days prior, Stacy. You told me it was okay. The doctor told me it was okay. I'm standing there next to the cardiologist and you told me her blood pressure looked great, but she's gone. She's now gone. How do you go from such a happy baby with an unhealthy heart to only learn she was born with a condition that was never detected? And I remember sitting there in that moment and I remember crying. I remember screaming. And the months passed and I'm going to be honest, as a mom, my baby, I didn't know what life looked like. I had no desire. See, I just wanted to be with my daughter. I just wanted the pain to go away. But in that moment, you sit and you look and you say, you know, we have a choice. We can stay silent. And I remember laying in my bed and I said, God, if you continue to wake me up, it's because you want me to do something with this. Look, like, I think sometimes we forget how omnipotent and omnipresent and how powerful the God is that we serve. I think sometimes we forget it, and I forgot it because he had the power to come in that room and change everything. He had the power to stop this from happening. He had the power to educate us, but he chose differently. So in that moment, this foundation started because I had to come to the realization there's something he has to say. There's something he wants us to do. There's a plan, and I can sit in this, or I could surrender my all. I could surrender everything and let him use me, let him use her life. And my husband looked at me, he said, we're racing against time. The same way we wish they could have caught this a lot sooner and earlier, God has given us the ability to do this for others. And so discipleship isn't about us. Stacy, is not about us.
Okay.
It's about others. And that's when I adjusted my crown. That's when I took my grief and carried with me. That's when I fully made the chance and the opportunity and decision to lean in and lead and start True Amor Foundation. Yeah.
And already 11 lives.
11 lives.
Already 11 lives. And I think it was the first one that came to you was the nurse.
So yeah, and she was actually the sixth one.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up. It's amazing because my OB that actually delivered True, she reached out and I had a conversation with her. She said to me, I promise you I did everything that I was supposed to do. And to be honest, from one woman to another, from one mother to another, I really hope you're not upset with me. And I had to rest assured, I'm not. You did what God told you to do. You did what you were supposed to do. And so she looks at me and she said, the least I can do is get my child checked. That's the least I can do in her honor. And it took her maybe about 3 weeks from the time that she decided to get her son checked. But she sent me a message and she said, Tiera, this takes a lot and it's taken me hours to actually type this. I haven't got to the point where I can communicate it verbally, but I want you to know that I went and I got my son checked. And in that time, I learned that he, in fact, had a congenital heart defect. He runs, he's active, he's in sports, even though he's a young child. He hasn't shown any symptoms. But I learned that he had, and not only did I learn he had one, there was a recommendation for me to get him and schedule him to Nicholas Children's Hospital for 2 procedures, 2 ablations. And for her to schedule that and get that taken care of immediately, because that was the recommendation, during that time, he ended up cold blueing. And with that cold blue, they had to bring him back and finally get him stable. And to hear her say, thank you. Thank you for allowing God to use you through True Amor Foundation, your daughter, who God allowed me to deliver into this world. I held her first, saved my son's life so that he can continue to be here. And I said, God, you know what? That's another thing that keeps me going, Stacy. Let's think about that. What would be the coincidence that God would put this together to show me that this is me? The things he's doing in our lives, the things he's doing between the foundation is showing that it's him. It's his hand. It's his move. It's his plan. He's doing it. And to allow that to come together and manifest and happen the way it did, it reassures me every day that I got to keep going. He's leading me.
Yeah. There's no coincidence in the kingdom.
Yeah. There's none.
To say about that. There's no coincidence in the kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all divine order.
He's good. He's good. He's good.
Yeah. So tell us what this mission looks like that you're on, Tiera. So how are you getting the word out there? What are you encouraging people to do? I know that you have a Tiny Beats Love Kit that you place in families' hands during the hospital stay.
Yeah.
Tell us all about that. Tell us about the Tiny Beats and just go there. Our listeners need to know, because I think there are so many people who, we hear all the time sadly, about kids dying and not even knowing why.
Yeah.
And I know some of it has to do with these energy drinks and what have you that they're drinking. And I can remember back in my oldest daughter's days of track. And we had a boy, he was his junior year, I think that year. And he just won one of the events. and he collapsed on the field, and he died right there on the track. And it was because there was something with his heart that his parents never knew. So share with us about that. Like, what are you doing to bring awareness, and how can we help, and just all the things, because it's so important that we know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what am I doing? This is a mission that God's giving me daily to advocate for. We get out here, we're attending community events, we are educating via social media, our website. We are showing up to these walks and heart healthy events. I love the fact we're being very personal. This is a part of our language, we can be going to a store, and God has given us just a presence and a love for these babies, that we can be shopping and we'll see a mother or father with a little, and we educate them, we provide them with literature. We are connecting with a lot of the media segments and sites and things of that nature to get the word, a lot of community partners. We're doing this because it's very important that individuals understand the how imperative it is for an EKG. We weren't educated. We didn't know, And so for us, we thought that appointment 6 days prior, when they listened to True's heart with a stethoscope and told me all is well, that all was well. Not realizing that was just listening to the rhythm, Sometimes they put the monitors on their finger and their toe, and you're looking at the ultrasounds and so forth, and you see the blood flow. But getting those EKGs where they check the structure, putting those leads on and seeing what it looks like, which may or may not lead to that echo that you may need, that is what we're educating moms and fathers on. We're asking them to go to your pediatrician. When you go to your appointment, ask them, how can I get an EKG? A lot of times they're offered to kiddos when there are symptoms. And I encourage parents, if you have to go to our website, if you have to share True's story, by the time True exhibited symptoms, it was too late. At that point, her heart was already, distressed, It was already inflamed, enlarged. There was not much that they could do in that moment. And so we empower parents to advocate for themselves. We also partner with them. So those parents that say, I don't know where to start, or I made that call to get an EKG appointment and they told me they couldn't, or it was 3 months down the road. We partner with them and try to get things taken care of for them. And I think it's very important that people understand the importance of that. We always use the analogy that the heart is like an engine in a vehicle. When the engine goes out, it doesn't matter that the windshield wipers need to be replaced. It doesn't matter that you need 4 new tires, And so just to bring that alive for the parents, once you have the heart that's affected, everything else, the cold, the fever, the runny nose, at that moment, we need to really focus in on what matters most. And so we do that also through our programs that we have. We have, as you mentioned, our Tiny Beats Love Kits, and that's where we actually partner with our local hospitals. It's a kit that we put together because, of course, in that moment, when we're in the hospital as parents, we're on the side, we're begging, we're pleading with the Lord, like, hey, please bring our daughter out of this. However, we realized, although we are very grateful, the tissue that we used to wipe our face was quite hard. In that moment, we were praying, but we needed to hear an affirmation. So we actually utilized this kit to make our parents feel loved, to remind them that they're loved and humanized. You sit there and sometimes you're not moving. You may need some deodorant. You may need a wipe. You may need some chapstick. You may need, just that affirmation, that reminder that God is with you. That's all in the love kit that's given during throughout the pediatric units when those parents are sitting alongside their kiddo's bedside. And so we really love that. It's a piece of True Amor. It's a piece of true love that we're able to give to them, but it also lets them know that they're not alone. So during that time and thereafter, we're here. I think sometimes people think about the grief, but they forget about anticipatory grief. There's so many families that we have connected with that child may have the heart transplant or they may have the ablation, but they go home and they're wondering, how long? How long do I have with my kiddo? When they're wearing this Holter monitor, will it go off? Like, will their heart start? Like, what's going on? And so they live in that fear. And so that's where we kind of wrap around them. We also do that through our resource hub, our support and resource hub. We have some families that we're realistic. We're talking to you about, going to get your child's heart checked, but you don't have diapers. You don't have wipes. You don't have the basics. And that's where we're able to wrap around them and see, maybe it's the groceries, maybe it's the fuel, the gas to get to that appointment. We support them there.
Is that your resource and support hub?
That is the resource and support hub. Yeah, that's where we wrap around our families. And we dare not think about those that are a little older. And that's where we have our True Art of the Heart. That came about because of my boys. When they first lost their sister, they decided to draw. They decided to get a canvas and they painted their emotions. They didn't know how to put them in words. They didn't, want to talk about it. But we would notice with them drawing that the pictures differ at different times. And so we were able to kind of walk with them through that. And of course, get them in counseling. But we understood when those emotions weren't the best, or when they were having those happy memories of their sisters versus the times that they were really having a challenging day. And so that's where True Art of the Heart, we go out and we offer those to families and community events so that their kiddos can really express those emotions. And we don't just leave them there. If we decide that, hey, this is needed further, we partner with one of our local counseling agencies, and they will wrap around that family at no cost. And then, of course, last and definitely not least, we are working on what you see behind me, our mobile EKG unit. You didn't
touch on that. I was going to ask you about.
Yes. Yes, that's what we're currently working on. We have a campaign, a fundraiser going, and that's actually on our socials as well as our website on our events tab. We're having an upcoming event here. It's the Music Bingo. It's actually this Saturday at Treasure Coast Lexus, and this will help us. Every bit of those funds go towards this mobile EKG unit. This will allow us to offer those heart screenings at no charge. It will not only remove the financial barrier, but also the transportation and access. And this is so huge. God continues to remind me that this is a need and he's going to work this out. We actually had an individual a couple days ago. We were just in Sam's, shopping, and I saw her with her baby, and, I walk up to give her a little literature and she just broke down. And she said, "You don't know how much I need this. I'm sitting here with my 10-month-old baby girl who has heart murmurs. 2 of them are still open." And she said, "While I know I need to stay on top of that, can't afford the copay." And do you know, Stacy, in that moment, I was able to connect her and get her appointment, but I would love to be able to say, hey, we're here today. We're here tomorrow. We're here for you. At no cost, to wrap around you and give you that peace, and allow God's light to shine through us. So that's what we're doing. That's what we have going on. And I would love to admonish and ask anyone that's willing, please check out our socials and website. We need you. We need your support in getting this done.
We will drop all of that into the show notes. So if you're listening, check out the show notes, go to their website. I'm just curious, Tiera, what does it cost for something like that?
Yeah, so we were able to get that built out as far as the blueprint, and it's a total of $35,000. Okay. We're currently at $9,190. So we're moving the needle, but listen, like we stated earlier, we can't wait. We're racing against time here. So this is where we need that help just to move that needle to that $35,000. And stated all funds go towards the unit. And we are excited because we're going to go live. From the moment that we go and make that payment, we are going to go live, and we are looking to do this as soon as possible.
Great. And where will this serve? Where will this trailer serve these families?
Yeah, so this trailer here will serve Treasure Coast and Palm Beach County. Okay. So those are the 2 areas that we actually serve. And we're just looking to be a blessing to families, to remove this barrier.
Palm Beach County is large. So the fact that you're doing Palm Beach and Martin County, you said the Treasure Coast?
Yes.
So St. Lucie County and Martin County?
Yes,
Okay.
St. Lucie County and Martin County. Yes, we are preparing ourselves to really, because one of the things that we realize is there is a mobile unit that's offered, especially in Treasure Coast. It's once a year, and they partner with the health department. They start at the age of 5, and so we're looking to come alongside them. We're looking to make this something that's available, readily available, on a weekly basis for our families. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Check out the show notes, everyone, because
Yes.
this is so important. And my prayer is that this podcast that we're doing now and all the things that you're doing will get your name out there, that this
Thank
will
you.
happen sooner than later, because
Yes.
there are lives at stake.
There are.
There are
We're
lives.
we're learning it. We're learning it every day. Like when we speak to, and there's some that have the stories, and they're like, "You're absolutely correct." And those that are aware about EKG, the importance of it, heart screening, is because there was some traumatic event that occurred, and we're trying to get ahead of
Is there a
that.
reason why this is not a common practice? Like, why, when a baby's born,
Mhm.
are there not EKGs done for the child?
Yeah. And while I wish I could definitely have every detail of that, I can say we have partnered with some legislators. And as far as doctors, when we have that conversation with them, we've had one with, Joe DiMaggio, Nicholas Children's Hospital, the cost behind it. And a lot of times, years before, usually you don't need them until there's a symptom. But right now, it's becoming a little more prevalent. And we're hopeful that our work with legislators will allow us to get the True Amor Act on and bill out in 2028. I know that they do understand that there's a need, because House Bill 1135, the Second Chance Act, rolled out last July, and that's the requirement for high school athletes to have
Right.
this EKG. So they're aware. It goes back to kind of the story that you share and the life of that beautiful, that loved one that you share. We're just trying to say, what about those ones that are playing sports, at a younger age? What about the ones that don't play sports? What about the true amors that will never have an opportunity to play a sport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to shift a little bit, because
Yes.
I want to know how, and I am sure our listeners want to know too, how has your faith been the thing that keeps you building even while you're still healing from all of this?
Through this and the grief, I've built what I call faith culture. This is my culture. This is what's inside of me. This has become my DNA. I have no choice but to lean in and believe that there's something great in this, that God has a plan. My faith has increased immensely. My faith is in everything that I do. Like, I really believe, and to be honest, it keeps me going. The moment that my faith wavers, the moment that my faith is put in the background, is the moment that the carnal Tiera takes over, and like, God, why? I don't want to be here. Like, take all this pain away, but just I want my baby. My faith is what I live and breathe. I believe it. I believe that because he continues to wake me up, I believe because he allowed this to happen, he felt that I could bear this. And I believe he's going to continue to change lives through this. I believe that there's a greater purpose. I believe in his plan. And that's the only thing that's going to keep me, because, his plan isn't our plan. The timeline looks totally different.
Right.
And so I have to have that faith. I have to believe that the time frame and how things are happening, the trajectory of this entire thing is in his hands. And he's going to do it.
Yeah. And can I just say, I've been with you a few times now, and you do just emanate faith.
Oh,
Just
thank you.
you radiate it. Like, it just flows from you, and it's so encouraging. And what would you say to a Kingdom woman right now who is grieving something but feels God's nudging her to build anyway? What would you say to her? How would you encourage her?
Yeah, I would encourage her to first allow herself to feel. Oftentimes when we try not to feel, it then overwhelms us. Allow yourself to feel, but it's very important that you first surrender, because you want to make sure when those emotions, those times come about, that God's there and you feel him. Of course, he's always there. But sometimes in our mind, we have to, again, have that faith to believe. I fully surrendered and he's allowing me to feel this, but he's going to bring me through. The way, and this is that I'm going to speak from what I'm living, my lived experience. I'm still in the midst of this. I'm still doing this every day. But if I can encourage another that has a nudge to start something, you have to plant in the garden in the midst of the storm. And I think sometimes that nudge is like holding a seed in your hand that's full of a promise. And the storm is brewing, but you're standing in the middle of it with that seed. You still have to plant, but you have to plant. You have to trust that the rain that's coming down in this storm is going to nurture that seed. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't mean, mom, it doesn't mean dynamic woman, it doesn't mean executive leader, that you will not face the mud, the uncertainty, the wind that comes when you're trying to plant that particular seed. And you might have to shelter that a little bit. You may have to pull some weeds in the middle and wait during the downpour. But I always tell myself, Tiera, if you preserve the garden, it'll eventually bloom. And at the end, it'll just be that proof that beauty can rise in the midst of a storm. So while I'm still waiting on that beauty, Stacy, I'm pulling the weed.
Girl.
My seed was the promise. And I have to make sure I allow God to go ahead and let his rain just downpour and flow.
Wow. Sister. Wow. Because we know if we hold a seed in our hand, regardless of what it is, regardless of what seed God has put in our hand, if we just hold on to it, it's not going to do anything.
Yes.
It's not going to do anything. But once we plant that seed, and I love the picture that you just painted for that.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. And when you have that seed, it goes back to that faith. When I plant that seed, I had my faith. I am believing in the midst of this. Sometimes it's challenging, sometimes I don't have the words to say. Sometimes it's just challenging to walk out the door and face this big world without True. But I go back to remember, you planted the seed and you understood that seed was full of God's promise. And so today there may be a little rain. Today the sun may just shine all day. You may get that rainbow. However, you planted it and you're believing and you're watching and you're working it. You're pulling in anything you have to. You understand that's fertile ground because you surrender. And I'm just waiting for that beautiful rise in it all.
Oh, girl, it's coming. I mean, it's already popping out of the ground. It's already popping out of the ground. It's going to be it's going to be something so beautiful. I have no doubt about that. If someone listening wants to do one thing today to support True Amor, what would you ask them to do?
Wow. I would ask for them to come alongside us in this journey. I would ask you to pray and ask God what that looked like for you. I can definitely sit here and say, yes, we take a donation. Yes, can you give? Can you buy? But I want to make sure you first seek the kingdom of God and what he has for you. And I want to admonish you to be obedient and walk in that. And whatever he lays on your heart when you visit our website and you read through and you listen to this podcast, I ask that you just be obedient and allow God to use you.
Yeah. I have to ask this because every time I've seen you, you've had your bear with you. Do you have your bear with you today?
I do have a bear with me today. Let me grab it from the other side of the office. It's very important.
Yes, it is very important. And I want everyone to see that bear.
Yeah, she's never too far away here. Let's see if we can get her. Yeah, come on. There she
goes. There we go.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about her?
Yes. So this bear, I love it. This was actually a gift from Build-A-Bear. And again, God's plan and showing me that he's with me. He allowed my 5-year-old son at the time, during True's last appointment 6 days prior, to actually record. He decided to take the phone to record and take pictures. And Build-A-Bear placed her heartbeat, the rhythm, into this bear. And so prior to that 240 beats per minute, I'm able to hold true to Princess True's heartbeat. They also placed her little voice here. So
I wish we could hear her. I can't hear her, but
okay,
I wish we could.
No, so she has her voice here. And it just always reminds me of how jovial she was, the love that she gave, how excited she stayed. And it keeps me going when I'm just waiting and planting and thriving and sharing and advocating, that through it all, God is using her to do something great in the lives of others.
So good.
Yes.
Tiera, I want to sincerely thank you for being here today. I mean, you have
Thank
given every person listening a reason to believe that their hardest season is not the end of their story. It might be the
Absolutely.
beginning of their mission, in fact.
Yes. Yes, Stacy. Yes.
Not the end of their
Yes.
story. It's the beginning of their mission.
Yes.
And he'll put the seed in your hand,
You will.
but it's up to you to plant it
Yep.
and take care of it and watch it grow.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
You are such an inspiration, my sister.
Oh,
Such an inspiration.
oh,
And
thank you, Stacy.
I want to pray over us before we close out this session.
Yes.
So, Father, we thank you for Tiera and for the courage that you have given her to lead even while she heals. We thank you for Princess True, for the 8 months that she lived, and for the way that her short life became the seed for a mission that is now reaching other families with hope. Lord, we declare that True Amor Foundation will keep growing. We declare more Tiny Beats Love Kits reaching more hospital rooms, more children screened and saved through Tiny Beats Mobile, more families finding comfort through the Resource and Support Hub,
Yes, Jesus.
and use our community to give generously and faithfully, Lord, towards this work. And for every person listening who's carrying their own grief right now, do in them what you have done in Tiera. Give them the courage to rise and keep building whatever you have placed in their hands. Let them know that their pain has not disqualified them from their calling. It has only deepened it. Lord, thank you that nothing surrendered to you is ever wasted, not even in our deepest losses. Lord, we honor Princess True's life and legacy. And we ask all of this in the name of your precious son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, my sister, I cannot even thank you enough for being here and for sharing your story and for your vulnerability and for your willingness to
Yes.
be vulnerable and to do what you're
Yes.
doing for other people.
Yes. And thank you for another opportunity to continue to be obedient. I made a promise and I made a vow to God. And thank you for another platform to do so.
It's an honor, sister. It truly is an honor.
Thank
Ladies,
you.
thank you so much for joining us today on the Kingdom LeadHERship Podcast. Stay tuned, check the show notes, and sow into this ministry. They're doing big things and they're saving lives because of what they have been through, turning their pain into purpose. Thank you, and we will see you next time. God bless. Thank you for spending time with me on Kingdom LeadHERship. If today's conversation encouraged you or brought clarity, take a moment to reflect on what God highlighted for you. Trust Him even when the path isn't clear, because He is faithful to direct every step. New episodes of Kingdom LeadHERship are released every Monday, and I invite you to join me again as we continue pursuing kingdom purpose with faith and intention. Until next time, lead with wisdom, walk in obedience, and trust God with where He's leading you.